All right, and welcome. Coming live to you from Gainesville, Florida, in the swamp at the historic Cade Museum for the annual West Skiles Wine to Water event. I'm sitting here with Mr. Terry Garcia, the CEO of Exploration Ventures, and a explorer, a scientist, and a conservationist. So, Terry, quick question. What brings you here today? And tell us about your experience with the legendary West Skiles.
Okay. Well, it goes back 20 years maybe. Wes was in my office, and I was the Chief Science and Exploration Officer at National Geographic. And we were working on a project in the Yucatan, and there was some issue with the Mexican government. We were discussing permits, and Wes happened to mention that he was from Jacksonville. And I said, I'm from Jacksonville. And then I said, do you happen to know a guy? I went to high school with a guy named Jimbo Skiles. And he started laughing. He said, that's my brother. That's how that was my first introduction to Wes.
So, you know, in a small world, in a discussion about the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and two people with Gainesville-Jacksonville connections met. So then, Terry, where does it go from there? I mean, you're at National Geographic, you're world-renowned, you're at the top of your field. What happens next?
Well, I continued to work with Wes. He was one of the world-class photographers at National Geographic, and really was one of the elite creative artists that we worked with. And he worked on several projects that I funded. So part of my job at National Geographic as the Chief Science and Exploration Officer was to go out, find talent, find projects, bring that stuff back so we could then convert it into a story that we could communicate to a broader public. And I also, which everybody loved, controlled the money. And so we had a number of grant programs, and I made grants, or I oversaw the grants that were made and given to scientists and explorers and educators around the world.
That's fantastic. So we have a large audience watching us tonight. What advice would you give to parents, to children who are watching, if they want to pursue a career and be like Wes?
Yeah. Do it. There are so many exciting opportunities out there. What I'm going to talk about tonight, among other things, is that we've only scratched the surface. Just when you think that we've filled in all the blank spaces on the maps, we haven't. There are mysteries out there that are waiting. There are discoveries that are waiting. And this next generation has an opportunity to do that. I believe that the 21st century is going to be the greatest age of exploration in the history of humankind. And they're going to have a front row seat to it. I think it would be an exciting time to be a young person who is beginning their career in science, to be living right now.
Well, you heard it, folks. The 21st century, the age of exploration. Many of you think it's done, but as Mr. Garcia says, it has only just begun. Stay tuned, folks. We're going to interview a couple other people tonight. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. We're super excited to have you.
This picture, it's a memory. It's a beautiful day with a special someone with a great smile. This is Fracture. Just upload an image, place your order, and it'll show up at your door, beautifully printed directly on glass, with everything you need to display it on your wall. A picture is a discovery. A picture is a triumph, and a feeling, and a connection. And this isn't just another frame, not just another canvas. This is new. This is a Fracture. Visit fractureme.com and print one today.
So the show must go on. So the show must go on. That's right. That's right. I have one of our downtown Gainesville Rotary Club's past president, and he was Mr. Perry Purcell. And Perry was the president when we first launched our first ever Wine to Water. So Perry, tell the audience the history of this event, what brought us here today.
Well, we were looking as a club to kind of diversify what we were doing, and water issues are near and dear to my heart, and I suggested it to the club, and everybody just, this club is so great in their participation and whatever. So everybody kind of pitched in, and then Ray Snook came up with the idea for the event, the Wine to Water. I guess there's kind of a template out there for things I've done in the past. So anyway, we said, oh, that's great. And I think maybe, I don't know if it was that particular year or the year after we did our first event, and there might have been 20 people there. But we had like we've had people like Cynthia Barnett, author, and John Moran, and other people who, really, have done so much for water and water stewardship. And then we got the idea of including, businesses in the category. So we have, I think, 4 different categories now that we give awards to each year, and it's really turned out to be kind of a signature event, right? We do it here at the beautiful Cade. It's awesome.
It is awesome. So is it fair to say that, it takes teamwork to make the dream work? I heard you mention several other members of the Downtown Rotary Club. In hindsight, did you ever think that it would grow to this sort of a venue?
Yes. I mean, I really did. Ray, when we had this one club one event at Harry's, and it was still a good event, but it was not great attended, and it just wasn't quite there. And I told Ray, I says, "Hey, this is going to be a big deal," and so I really always thought in my heart that it would be this and even more. I think we're going to continue to grow on what it is.
Well, listen, folks, this Downtown Rotary Club has a vision of where we can be as a Gainesville community. And so we're here at the Cade, but this Wine to Water, the West Skiles Wine to Water event, is going to continue to grow in size and magnitude and impact. So there's a lot of photos over the years that we have seen. Is there any photos, or is there any one moment over the years that you really remember about this West Skiles Wine to Water?
Well, one moment, I kind of remember the early years when we were kind of struggling and wondering, if it was going to go forward. But, the big thing is the moment, I guess, is when Jim Skiles said, "Hey, why don't we make this set the awards in Wes's name and make that a part of the Wine to Water event?" So it's the Wine to Water West Skiles Water Stewardship Awards. And that's really what made it take off. I mean, I think Jim Skiles and his vision and Wes's vision really helped us get where we got. And I kind of got the idea from Wes, 20 years ago, 1,000 years ago, talking to the club and saying, I thought water was, we were cool in this area, and we had plenty of water, all going to be good. And then he started talking about springs flowing backwards and, the different issues that we had. And I said, he really has opened the eyes to a lot of people. And this is really a testament to Wes, really, when you think about it.
Well, Mr. Perry Purcell, thank you, sir, for that walk back in time, and that's what we did. We walked back in time to the very beginnings. It takes teamwork to make the dream work, as I said, and this event will continue to grow in size and impact. Right now, I'm going to bring to the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring to the microphone our president of the Downtown Rotary Club, President Brenda. Come on down. We'd like to have a few words with you. I'm great, Brenda. I'm great. And I am vaccinated and COVID tested, so I think we're good.
I am in the same boat.
Excellent, excellent. So, Brenda, we're gathered here tonight as the president of the Downtown Rotary Club. What would you say to prospective members, to the community, about our club and about this event?
We are a small club, but we are a mighty club. I'm getting tongue-tied. As you can tell by this event, it is a very big event because we love giving back to the community and recognizing those that are protecting and working within our environment to preserve it. It is something that is very close to my heart, and I am very happy that this club does this every year.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the club does do this every year. It seems like it's getting bigger and better. For the families out there who don't have a chance necessarily to attend tonight, have you been to the springs? And if so, or even the waterways around here, what do you think about the water quality and the importance of preserving the water quality here in Central Florida?
It is extremely important. It is something that families love doing. I have been out there with my children when they were in middle school and high school, And I am actually looking forward to next summer taking my grandson out. So it's something that the generations can enjoy. So preserving the springs is really big. I think that it is something that we need to do to just so that way the springs are there for the generations to come. So that way my grandson can take his children to the springs in the future.
A multi-generational strategy. We have a jewel. Around the world, people come to Central Florida for our springs, for the quality of the water. And as our president said, we want it for our grandchildren's children. One final question for you. You know, people have seen this. They're learning about our club. If someone wants to come and join our club, how can they come and join our club?
You can come to Paramount Grill every Wednesday at noon, and you can check us out. And we'll be glad to give you more information at that time.
There you go, folks. So, you know, we have the Rotary mission. We have a Rotary theme. We are about service to the community. So if you want to come join us, do as our president says, come out to the Paramount Grill, and we'd be glad to have you. Thank you, President Brenda.
Thank you.
All right. Pardeep, Doc, come on over. We have with us one of our illustrious emeritus professors from the University of Florida. He is a world-famous scientist and physicist. So we have Dr. Pradeep Kumar. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I love the bow tie. I love the suit. Looks
Oh, my.
So we got a couple
I
questions.
thought I always looked that
You
way.
do. We have a couple questions for you tonight, and you know, as we sit here and celebrate the West Skiles Wine to Water Stewardship Award, as a scientist and a researcher, what does stewardship and conservation mean to you in the context of science?
Well, don't do that to me. I have to think about it.
All right. Well, then let's take it a different approach. You know, you have studied, physics and how the world works. Tell us what this night means to you. Why did you come out, and what are you hoping to do tonight?
It's a wonderful night because it's a recognition of people that have done good things in support of conservation, and there is something very mysterious going on, which is that the springs are disappearing. And we don't know what to do in order to keep that from happening. There are investments, there are plans, but I'm not sure that we are quite there yet. And that needs to be done. The state of California is having a tremendous drought issues. And I think it's a desert climate, and therefore it's a very different kind of environment than what we have in Florida. But I think that we need to be worried about whether there are global issues that are actually leading to shortage of or to the management of water.
Well, you hear it, folks, from one of UF's top scientists and emeritus professor. There are issues that we must address. It's going to take, as Dr. Garcia said, a new generation of scientists and educators who are working on these issues and looking to solve them. But we're going to continue the night. The revelry is just getting started. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. So I see a whole host of folks over here. I see Mr. Walt Berry. Walt, come on, I need to interview you real quick. Walt, come on, I need to interview you real quick. Come on over here. So this is one of our past presidents from the Downtown Rotary Club, Mr. Walt Berry. And Walt is coming right off the road for us, and he has been a part of this for a while. So to the audience that's watching us, you know, when you think about an evening like tonight, what are the thoughts that come to your mind?
Well, it's nice that people are able to contribute some money to buy some wine and contribute it to water. Typically we hear about the other way around, wine to water. But the Florida's living streams and rivers and the deep commitment that we have to water is something that really needs support. There's some measure of support from the political side statewide, but the public just needs to also be on board. And I think this is one of the ways in which we can bring more attention to our springs and rivers and these wonderful assets that we have.
Well, you know, Walt, you talked about politicians and managing assets, and I know you spent a number of years in city planning and city management. So what is really at stake? If we don't get our water fixed, what happens? What is the so what?
Well, it all depends on who you talk to. A lot of people love water. Sometimes they love it for their crops, for their cattle, for their fishing ponds. And some people choose to divert it for private use. Not everybody has the same public interest that you would assume everybody would have with a natural resource like this. So there's a political and economic aspect to all of this. So our job would be to try and get people either persuaded if they need to be persuaded, or convinced if they need to be convinced that the public policy that protects waterways, protects springs, protects natural flow of water is critical. That's why people come to Florida, after all.
And as he said, so tonight is a celebration of that. We have business leaders, politicians, community activists, and retirees, you know, gray-haired guys like me and Walt, who are here really working together to make sure that we're up to date on the issues, that we can make sure our voices are heard, and that people can come to Florida to enjoy the water that we have. Well, Walt, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we're going to continue. The evening's going to go on, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with you, and I have a very prominent artist here with me, and her work is famous, and you probably know her work. So tell me, welcome back. We're glad to have you. And so tell me, what is your most memorable Wine to Water event? What do you think about this evening?
Every time I come, I'm so thrilled because Wes Skiles is my hero. And I gave a talk for Rotary, and I know a number of the members, and I just think I was so thrilled when water was their focus. And then the fact Wes was so inspirational to me. We were going to work on a book project together, and he was.
So did you know Wes?
Yes.
Wow. Tell us, what was he like for those who didn't have the opportunity to meet him?
It was sort of like, we were all the creatures of the forest, and he was a lion that protected everyone. It was kind of like that. And he was so far ahead of his time. A lot of the things we say now about, this is happening to our springs, he was saying in the 80s. And he was saying things that scientists didn't know because they were above the water, but he was in the water. And he said, we know this water travels a mile a day. We know these pollutants are coming quickly back into the surface water, and things we know. And he didn't mind confronting people and saying, you have to tell the truth about the things happening here. So
Margaret, as an artist, your allusion to that C.S. Lewis lion in the forest, a real life Aslan walking through,
He did all that, and he was always open to coming, and he would talk at the groups about each of the springs. He would sit there, and then he would give a talk, and he would always there to help out, to educate people, and I think it gave me the idea with Aquafarius that we have these heroes. We have our own Odysseus, and we have our own, like Trojan War heroes. We have our own myths. It's like a lot of the dives that Wes and his friends took. And I know you all have given an award to Tom Morris, and that was his dive buddy, and he's a brilliant biologist. And it's just to keep this direction going and to have him affiliated with this award, I think it just gives it extra importance.
Well, listen, thank you. As we close, are there any words that you would give to the children, to the next generation of explorers, to the next Wes Skiles? What words of wisdom would you give to them?
Say, people are always looking at the water, but what we need to do is be in the water and be immersed in it. I would say put on that mask, go underwater, and tell people what you see, and let yourself fall in love with it. And then figure out how to protect it. water in its natural places. We really need to just let those systems work.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think she said it best. Water in its natural places. So get down there, take a look, see what's going on. So we're going to get started with this evening. I want to thank you, and we have a great evening of stuff planned for you.
Hey y'all, we are at the springs, the coolest of the Florida things. It's nature at its best, and all you locals know you can't resist a dip into the water. You'll be swimming like an otter, cause you know that here in Florida, in the summer it gets so much hotter.
My name is David, and my passion is unswerving, but I'm here to talk about something a little bit unnerving. The aquifer is hurting, and the water that is squirting is declining in quality, and it's very disconcerting.
What? You really thought we were gonna write a rap about the springs and not talk conservation?
Then you don't know us.
These are complicated problems. There's no easy way to solve them, but with science we can fix it, and it's time that we get started.
But Brett and I aren't scientists. We don't do numbers very well, so here's our friend Zoe. Zoe, time for some show and tell.
Yo, 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 when you talk about the springs and you say you're the kings, well, you better cover these 3 things. Gravity is pulling down through the ground all the nitrogen and fertilizer we don't want to drink. And your water comes from somewhere, don't care, we throw away 2 billion gallons every day. Get to the truth, give people proof, and in November we'll see you in the voting booth.
Think about the drops you drink, what comes out of your sink. We're coming at you with a plan, so let's take a righteous stand.
It's a very simple message, and we're trying to explain it. We got all our friends together in the hopes that you retain it.
There's one tiny thing you take away, one little thing to do. Remember water when you vote, it all comes down to you. Think about the drops you drink, what comes out of your sink. We're coming at you with a plan, so let's take a righteous stand.